quarterback sneak, he's not quite comfortable with that yet. We've been practicing that. I know that might sound silly, but when you've never done it, it's something that we need to continue to make that so you can make that call in that critical situation.
No, I feel comfortable. I mean, yeah, obviously I haven't really ran it before in a game, but no, I feel comfortable. It's something we've worked.
How desperate is this team at this point?
Pretty desperate. Desperate for a win, desperate the way they go to work each day, each week. Desperate for a win.
And you can't get desperate, you know. You gotta just keep going to work, and we're gonna win some games. We're gonna turn it around.
Yeah, look, not exactly consistent between Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence on whether and to what extent he's comfortable diving on 4th and short into the end zone. But the bottom line is you got James Robinson, and that was another issue that came up in the aftermath of Sunday's loss to the Titans. It's 4th and short at the goal line, and James Robinson isn't even on the field. And I had thought, and others around the league had thought, in the aftermath of the Thursday night game against the Bengals, that Urban Meyer had finally realized James Robinson is the guy. He's the guy. He's the best player on the team, and they were going to start using him more. And Urban said yesterday, I don't micromanage who's in the game, that it was Hyde instead of James Robinson. Chris, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't understand how it works. I don't know. How much does the coach defer personnel in a key moment like that to someone other than himself?
Well, to me, that's what the head coach is there for, is that type of like, okay, you're not the offensive play caller, you're not the defensive coordinator, but you need to give some big picture thoughts here about what should be done and, you know, who should have the ball in key moments, or, you know, it shouldn't even come down to that conversation during the game. It should have already been, you know, handled during the week of practice and leading up to that. Now, I guess their thinking is like, you know, Carlos Hyde is a little bit bigger and, you know, been around the NFL more. I don't really know what the thought process is, but the thought process is what you said. That the reality is what you said, is that James Robinson is arguably the best player on their offense, you know, and he's like an extremely talented runner and not a small back by any stretch of the imagination. You know, he's still 220 and has power. So, yeah, that makes no sense. Now, I mean, listen, we could show that play again. I don't think it really gives a damn who's in there. We could bring Emmitt Smith back in his prime or whatever. They didn't block the play worth a damn. So that's where it starts. I mean, again, you see there, I mean, it's over. I mean, 93 goes through, and it's night-night, and then, of course, the pursuit gets there. But, you know, when you're Urban Meyer and you have a lot of issues on your plate right now about managing the football game and, of course, just being a head coach in the NFL, these are the questions you're going to ask when your team fails yet again in a big moment. And, yeah, that's a little bit of a head-scratcher, no doubt about it.
But he has figured it out. He's come up with a recipe, a formula. It reminds me of the ill-fated Randy ratio from days gone by when Mike Tice, who used to keep a pencil in his ear to look smart, it didn't work, came up with this notion that if we get the ball to Randy 40% of the time, we're going to win every game. Here's Urban Meyer with the high-level analytics concept that he has devised based on 5 NFL games.
You know, I like our identity right now. If you say, what's the identity of the Jacksonville Jaguar offense? It's a physical offense that runs the ball and balance. You know, our goal is always 250, 250. I want to say we were 250, 200. You know, that's what we want to be.
Well, I mean, I guess you could say our goal is to score 100 points also. At least 100 points, I think, have been scored at some point in the NFL. Nobody's ever gone 250, 250, especially not as a record. There have only been 33 since the merger instances of an offense having 250 rushing yards and 250 passing yards. It is a very high bar. It sounds a little goofy to try to aspire to do that on a regular basis. It's not going to happen on a regular basis. And anytime you strive going into a game to say, this is what we want to do, we want to statistically be able to say we had 250 rushing yards, 250 passing yards. Well, you know, who was it that explained it this way? Oh, God, I'll remember it eventually. It was Kevin Stefanski in the aftermath of the Browns game against the Chargers. you have to coach the game that unfolds in front of you.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
You don't know what kind of day it's going to be until you see what the opponent is doing.
Exactly.
So if they're doing everything they can to take away the run and make it easier for you to pass, it may be a 510 game, or it's going to be 300 rushing yards and 50 passing yards. You don't know until it's time to show up. And that's the nature of the NFL. It's not a crap team every week that you can just overpower when you have supremely talented players. You have to coach the game that unfolds based upon the opponent's strategy that is unfolding as yours is trying to do the same.
Yeah, 100%. You got to evaluate it for what it is. They're playing us this way, or man, we're just not playing our best today. We're not coming off the ball and blowing people back in the run game. We might have to throw the ball a little bit more. Certainly. I mean, listen, I get what he's trying to say. They want balance within their offensive football team. They're pretty close to that. They are. Again, there's a lot of positives, I think, to come out of Jacksonville. It's just, again, where, like, in the NFL, you almost got to be perfect to win a football game. You do. That's where it's just different than college football, too. Again, at Ohio State, his team could mess up 7-8 plays a game, and they'd still win by 20. And that just doesn't happen. And right now, whether it's just like a stalling point within the game where the offense flutters or just a mistake here and there, that they haven't brought it all together. But there is positives. I mean, Trevor Lawrence continues to get better and better every week. He looked really good against the Bengals on Thursday night. He looked good the other day too. His decision-making, you can see he's more confident in where he's throwing the football, his knowledge of defenses. We'll see where it goes. But, yeah, there's a lot of crap they're dealing with there in Jacksonville right now. I give them a lot of credit for coming out and playing hard last week, but they messed up some opportunities to, maybe win that game and come back, or at least make it really interesting late in the fourth quarter.
They get a chance to win this weekend in London against the Dolphins, who are under siege and having a hard time getting victories. And 6 losses away are the Jaguars from matching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of 1976-1977 with the longest losing streak of all time. So they need to get it together.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.